How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We have a crazy setup, maybe the setup of a lifetime, getting ready for Bitcoin. And of course, I don't know what's going to happen in the next month. I don't know what is going to happen in the next year. But this is getting pretty crazy. We have news from the Fed here today. We have massive new wallets that just swallowed up a ton of Bitcoin that literally are in the top 50 wallets, and they just set up the wallet. We have what else? We have people saying that you need a 2 to 5% allocation to Bitcoin on national TV. There's a lot going on. A lot of cool stuff happening, and this is a big setup. This is a really nice looking setup for the rest of the year and next year. If you don't mind, hit subscribe. Turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one. If you want to trade cryptocurrency, there's a link to Margex underneath the video where you can start trading in just a few minutes. There's no KYC. You don't need a VPN. Also, they're doing an airdrop right now for a little bit longer where you can get some free tokens, up to $5,000 worth of free tokens. And there's also a link to CoinW underneath the video as well, where you can start trading. You can get in on this jungle airdrop. This ends in an hour, but they just told me they're setting up a new airdrop with a few different tokens that are very large cryptos. So you may want to sign up for this and start trading here today. Now, let's take a look at Bitcoin. We're moving up. 57.4, we're not quite to the 60s yet, but we do have a bit of an interesting triangle happening right now. We should see either a breakout or breakdown in the next day. And this is just so interesting. I'm looking at the setup, and we've been pretty much just down and down and down since 71K. Like, it's been pretty much straight down. The interesting thing is, though, we were at this exact point back in February. So nearly 4.5 months. And things have gone so much better. Like, politically, with Bitcoin, a lot of people are pro Bitcoin now. A lot of people are starting to talk about Bitcoin quite positively, and crypto, trying to be pro crypto, pro Bitcoin, taking donations, and just flipping everything so that we're pro Bitcoin now, with the Republican Party literally saying that they're going to safeguard your right to crypto, and your right to hold Bitcoin, your right to mine Bitcoin, all that kind of stuff. We have the ETFs buying a ton of Bitcoin since this point, hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin over this time. Yesterday, we actually had the best day in a month. The ETF swallowed up about $300 million worth of Bitcoin. Just a ton of Bitcoin. But recently, the price has been down, and I know we've talked about it a lot, and part of the reason for this is the German government continues to sell off Bitcoin. They sold 3,100 today, worth about $178 million. So they continue to dump the price of Bitcoin. They continue to sell. And yeah, this causes the price to go down. We went from 50,000 Bitcoin, the German government holding 50,000, to now they hold under 23,000. So they just flat out sold 27,000 Bitcoin. We've had some distributions as well from Mt. Gox, most likely start probably about a week ago. So there's fear around that. And yeah, the ETFs have been a little bit back and forth, but it seems like recently we've seen a lot of inflows. You can see 187, 0, 14, 82 million. This is just from IBIT. The total, though, has been a little bit back and forth. So some days we've had big outflow days, some days decent inflow days. Yesterday, like I said, $295 million worth of inflows, mostly coming from IBIT, $187 million, but FBTC and GBTC having some decent days as well. Again, though, it just seems like a lot of stuff has changed positively since February, and yet the price of Bitcoin is at the same point, right? As from a couple months ago, it's down 20% or so. So I think this is quite the setup. Today, Powell said the labor market appears to be back in better balance. He also said this is no longer an overheated economy, basically saying, hey, we don't have to keep rates as restrictive. That's kind of reading between the lines here. He also said, more good data would strengthen our confidence that inflation is moving back towards 2%. So rate cuts equals Bitcoin rocket fuel. People go and invest in riskier assets if there are lower rates, because you're not getting 5% on a savings account. So this is really interesting for the end of the year, where we might start getting rate cuts. We have still a lot of big entities buying Bitcoin, like the ETFs. Typically, the year of the halving is a good year, but the year after the halving is even a better year. If we look back at every cycle, that's typically the case. We have FTX distributing $16 billion to users at the end of the year, Q4. That's $16 billion in cash back in the pockets of crypto users. This is very bullish because some people will go spend this money and buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, buy altcoins. They'll be buying a lot. And some people will just say, F it, I'm out. I'm not going to be buying anything else. But it might be even more painful for these users to get this money back and see crypto continue going up and not buying anything back. Like, they were invested in crypto. They believe in crypto. So my guess is a lot of this money will probably go back into the market. Now, whether that's 4 billion or 12 billion, who knows? I would expect somewhere in that range, though, to flow back into crypto, which would send up the price. We have entities like this that just set up a new wallet that put in 44,526 Bitcoin. This is literally July 4. In the last week, they added at $57,000 Bitcoin. Okay, so they're going out and buying. Their entities buying a lot. And now this just happened on CNBC. Let me play this clip for you so you can see what is going out to the masses.
Percentage of gold's market cap should Bitcoin have? What within 5 years?
Think about it this way. When you look at the price of Bitcoin, look at the denominator. Look at USD. So I'd rather really think about the USD part of Bitcoin over USD than comparing it to gold, because
when you look at what gold's valued at, it's over USD. So it's the same.
It's the same idea. It's just I think when think about what you think about the dollar and think about what you want to replace it with. Gold in its physical form is hard to move around.
That's what I mean. Bitcoin should at least. There's no reason it shouldn't be just 10% or 20% or 30% of gold.
Right.
It should be. And, poor Senator Menendez, I mean, he's like walking around with these gold bars. It's like, I mean, if he had Bitcoin, it would have been right on his...
I think they were hidden. I don't think he was carrying them.
Oh, he wasn't actually carrying them. Or it would have been a lot easier. He'd probably still be, sailing, no problem.
That's right. And actually cleaning up a lot of these old cases about Silk Road and Mt. Gox, I think, will help. Like, that helps just sort of cleanse us all of these kind of old sins, and we can move on with a clearer idea of Bitcoin as being a store of value. And a lot of the ETF holders, I think, feel that way. Also, diversified returns. So the whole asset class presents a lot of opportunities.
So you're a stacker, and you think people ought to keep stacking?
I think people should really consider with their advisors to add 2 to 5% of Bitcoin.
Okay. Advisors should tell people to add 2 to 5% Bitcoin. I was just doing some quick math. Right now, the Bitcoin market cap is at about 1.134 trillion. Gold's market cap is up at 15.9 trillion. So if Bitcoin becomes worth just 10% of what gold is, that would put Bitcoin's price at $80,621. If it becomes the same market cap as gold, it's $806,000. So we've been talking about this in the past. When Bitcoin eventually surpasses the market cap of gold, for a while it was around $600,000. Now it's going to be much higher because gold's more valuable. And this is going to be the case continuously, where eventually gold will probably be surpassed by Bitcoin. And that'll be when Bitcoin's over $1 million in USD currency. So it is interesting just to see the change over time, and to see the change as well from people going on CNBC, going on different shows, talking about where Bitcoin's price should be and what people should do to invest in Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin they should actually hold. This is also fascinating. Warren Buffett on how to end the U.S. deficit in 5 minutes. You just pass a law that says anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Elon Musk says, great idea. The problem is this will never happen because who's going to pass that law? I can tell you, Congress and the House, they're not going to pass that. So it's never going to happen. Never going to happen, in my opinion. So that's why we need something like Bitcoin, where we don't control how much Bitcoin there is that's printed, that's mined. So yeah, I think Bitcoin's going to do quite well. Again, it's really the only asset that can't be changed, that can't be made more of. So when we go back into a time of, higher liquidity, which we are moving back that way, it seems like, I don't want to say we've stuck this landing. We've stuck the landing and that the economy won't get worse, but some of it probably does have to do with manipulation of numbers. But it does seem like the economy is doing okay. I mean, inflation is out of control, or it was out of control. Things are still very expensive, but that's largely due to the fact that there were so many years where we had high inflation. Now inflation's come down a bit, and we're actually starting to see some different brands start to lower prices because they can't sell as much. People aren't buying as much. I've seen a video even over the last day talking about like the fast food wars. Now a lot of fast food restaurants, after getting a lot of backlash for having really expensive food, now they're kind of turning back to the $5 deals where you can get maybe nuggets, fries, a burger, and a drink for $5. And that's happening for a reason. It's because they can't charge as much. So yeah, the fact is the Fed will probably lower rates at some point because inflation has started to come down. And at that point, it's just going to be a really nice setup for Bitcoin. A lot of people will want to invest in higher risk, higher reward assets. I mean, think about 2020, 2021, where people were investing in crypto and risk assets. They were doing that because there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money in the system. There's a lot of money being pushed around, stimulating the economy. So I would not be surprised to see that happen again, not to that same level, but I would not be surprised to see Bitcoin do quite well. I mean, you look at the S&P 500 too, we're hitting all-time highs. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. I really appreciate it. For anyone that's wondering, I do feel a lot better today. I had some kind of summer flu yesterday, so apologize for the low energy, but we'll be back on track here. I really appreciate you all watching. Let me know your thoughts if you want to trade cryptocurrencies, specifically Bitcoin or some of the top altcoins. You can check out the link underneath the video to Margex, and you can also trade even more cryptocurrencies over on CoinW. There is a link underneath the video as well in case you want a 10% off ticket to Bitcoin Nashville. Check that out underneath the video. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.